Golfer 007, turn right, heading 185, reduce speed 180 knots.
185 on the heading, 180 on the speed Golfer 007.
Speedbird 124, reduce speed 160 knots to 40 ME.
Reduce 160 to 4, speed 124.
Hello there YouTube, Matt here once again, aka Balance, and welcome to my latest installment of my How to FSX series. This is episode number 7, part 1, and we'll be looking at the PMDG 777. Today we're going to be doing a flight from London, Heathrow to be more specific, down to the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, in an Emirates 777-200LR. Now, I am aware that Emirates now operate the A380 on this route, but you know, they used to, once upon a time, operate a 777. So, it's all good. We can do it. Even if it wasn't good and we couldn't do it, I'd still be doing it, but you get the point. So this part 1, as usual with the sort of the in-depth stuff, is 3 parts. And part 1 is always the planning, part 2 is the setup, the takeoff, and then up to cruise, and then part 3 is the descent, approach, landing, shutdown, everything else that goes with that. So, we are now graced for part 1 with an amazing tool in the form of Professional Flight Planner X, PFPX, from the guys at Flight Simsoft. I did a really small video on it the other day and didn't really tell you much about it other than that it was a program. It had some really cool features and didn't really do much with it. Today I'm about to rectify that, and you are going to see it in its fullest form as it plans our route down to Dubai with pretty much minimalistic effort from us. We just need to enter a few figures into it and then we will be good to go. So hopefully part 1 of this video won't actually be too long. It should be relatively quick, which is a good thing because I know how eager you all are to get off the ground. So, without further ado, PFPX, this is really all we are going to need initially for the planning of it. And then once we get across to flights, or just before Flight Simulator, but still in part 1, we'll export some of the plan and we'll get Active Sky set up with the winds, and I'll show you how to import the winds into Flight Sim so that you don't have to spend hours upon hours inserting values into the legs page. So, here we go. This is from my flight this morning, actually, the Speedbird 69, it was 69 Victor was the call sign. I attempted to fly to Philadelphia, but there was a problem with the 777 over the Atlantic, which I'm still waiting on a reply from PMDG for, so we can just delete that. So, if you watch the first video of PFPX, the one yesterday, you'll see that I did some quick setup kind of step-throughs. I don't know if you want to call them that, but whatever. So you need to go and make sure that you have all the latest updates and everything is pointing to the right directories, etc. And then we can get on and we can actually make the flight plan. Now, I already have aircraft in the database. If we check here, I've got 4. I've got an Emirates, I've got an Air Canada, I've got a British Airways, and I have a Korean Air Cargo, that one is. If you want to make these aircraft, then you need to follow this step. Click on the plane in the top left and then press New Aircraft. From that, you need to fill out all of this information. Now, you can get this information from whichever source you like. I'll put some links below, I guess. But what I will do, just to make this process easier for you, I will show you how I have it set up, and then you can just duplicate the settings. So today we'll be flying Alpha 6 Echo Whiskey Bravo. That's the Emirates registration on the 200LR. And I have configured this for what Emirates use as far as my knowledge goes. So what I'll do is I will leave this page up for a couple of seconds. Feel free to pause it and then take down the figures. And make sure now you have the equipment configuration panel all copied across. And finally the ETOPS stuff. Now for this flight, we don't need anything to do with ETOPS. We're not flying over water. We are literally flying down through Europe and then into the Middle East, so there's no worry about ETOPS. But if you want to copy these settings down, you are more than welcome to. If I can find a way of getting this data to you through exporting it, I will do that also, but don't hold me to that. I will check afterwards. So, we are using Alpha 6 Echo Whiskey Bravo. We can just close that at the moment. Really simple. We need to add a schedule, and the schedule is the flight number and the airline and all that stuff that you need to fill in. It's really self-explanatory. So the airline is Emirates, and the call sign is Emirates 8, so it's just number 8, and we're going from Heathrow and we're going to Dubai, which is OMDB, and it is an international flight and it's a scheduled flight, and the commercial flight number, well, Emirates is EK and then it's just 8, so EK8. Today's date is fine. Standard time of departure, well, it's entirely up to you. The time now is 18:09, but I'm going to run a flight simulator in the day because I don't really want to be flying at night on a video. It may be a little off-putting. So let's go for 1100 Zulu standard time of departure. If you want to do this over certain amounts of days, you can press a repetitive checkbox, and then you will be presented with a bunch of days. Now, if you leave this as it is and press apply, it will span in this column every single day, and then if you come back and you do this flight again, it will be in the schedules list for you to choose from. We're not. This is just a one-off thing, so we can leave everything as it is and then just press save, and then you'll see it here. Once that's all good, it will draw a line from Heathrow to Dubai. This is not a route, this is just a line, and the reason why it's slightly bent is because obviously the globe is circular, and that's the way it goes. So now we can right click on this and we can click plan, and this is where the PFPX really comes into its element. It's actually really neat of what it wants to do for us. So in the aircraft, because you've added the aircraft from before, remember, you just select it and then it will fill out everything for you. Then press payload, and we have a max passenger capacity of 301. Now it's up to you whether you manually enter these values in for adults, children and infants. As long as it doesn't exceed 301, you're fine. I just press random and it loads some passengers in, okay? Then the fuel, well, we can go with EU ops because we're flying inside of Europe. And the route, which is really cool, it finds it for you. Now, you can do it this way by pressing find and it will find it, but just to make sure it finds the correct route, one of my friends that I speak to that also runs this told me to do it this way. If we click on the find at the top and then use upper airspace, it will stop any lower airspace discrepancies, so you won't get messed about when it comes to actually flying the route. Now, it tries to guess the departing runway. It does a semi-okay job of it, but I will say that if you go to the edit tab, especially at Heathrow, you never depart off 9 left at Heathrow. It's always 9 right, so you might just need to change that. I'm not sure about the runway at Dubai. So again, if you fly in VATSIM or something like that, just double check with them. But I definitely know it's not 9 left at Heathrow. So that's done. And the alternates, well, you can let it do it itself. So just press find destination alternates and it will come up with them, and it will also give you an alternative route, which is really good. Then we go to advanced and just make sure ETOPS is NA. We don't need ETOPS. The rest of it you can leave as is, and when we can press compute flight. Now in the background this is collating all the wind information, the weather information, the fuel, the payload, etc. And then it will give you a green checkbox next to your flight. If there's any errors, it will come up, and in the messages tab you can go and see this and you can rectify the errors. You have the details of the flight here, so if you're happy with all of this, the details there. So for example, the figure that we're interested in is a zero fuel weight, which at the moment is planned at 183.7 or 0.8 tons, and its limit is 209.1, so we're completely within limits. And we have an uptake fuel, or an uplift, depending on what you want to call it, of 44, just over 45 tons of fuel. So if you're happy with everything and you just skip through the list, check the ATC flight plan and all that good stuff, then you just press release flight plan, or release plan should I say. When you release it, it will go into this, the schedules tab again. And it may, there you go, it's just getting itself sorted. And it will now give you the option to print the OFP. The OFP is the operational flight plan. It's a PDF, which we are going to do in a sec. But first of all, we need to export the flight plan. Now, I've noticed a few people on the PMDG support forum saying that they want to use the wind feature inside the 777 so they could uplink the en route winds, saving having to type all of the winds out in the FMC. I also want to do this, and I was very frustrated initially when I tried it and I couldn't do it, but I found a fix. So it will always try and put at the end of the route name a number. If you just erase that number and get rid of it completely, and then export it as it is to the PMDG simulations folder and also to the FSX folder as well. Okay, so that's exported both of those. When you've done that, then you can print the OFP. Now, to print the OFP, you just press print and then just save it somewhere. I'm going to save it to my desktop. I use Dropbox quite a bit, so if you want to keep a local copy of it, then that's fine. But if you want to share it with friends or whatever, use Dropbox and then chuck them the link. I'm sure they'll be grateful. So the OFP is printed out, and it's actually on my other screen. So I'll drag it across, and there you go. You can see it. 2-page view. Let's go a bit further across, and this is the OFP now, all in PDF format for us. And if we head down to the bottom, you can see we've got the wind charts and all the correct flight plan stuff that we need. So we are technically now done with PFPX. We've exported what we need out of it. We've got all the data. We can get rid of it. It will have saved that as well if we need to reopen it. So from that, we need to go to your FSX folder, and then we need to go to the PMDG folder, and then we need to go to the flight plans folder. Now, for some reason, the PMDG 777 flight plans aren't exportable by PFPX yet, and I'm not sure why, but it's fine. You just need to grab the route that you exported, so EGLL OMDB.RTE, and then just paste it into the 777 folder. Then you need to go into the weather folder inside of PMDG, and you need to right click and then press new, and then go to new text document, and then rename it first IKO, so Heathrow, and then second, which is OMDB .wx. Okay, so if you're flying from, let's say, JFK to Vancouver, you would type KJFK CYVR.wx. We need to then go into Active Sky and press Flight Plan. And then you can enter the plan, and then you can import the plan that we just exported from PFPX. Now it's here, EGLL-OMDB.pln, so just press open, and we can have a look at the exported OFP to see that the alternate is OMSJ. So we'll just put OMSJ. Then we can press process. Now when it's done processing, which should be very, very quick, okay, you need to look down this list at the bottom pane, in the bottom pane should I say, and look for a massive chunk that all looks the same. So if we just keep scrolling down, here it is. So winds aloft by waypoint, we need to start to select everything that's here that I'm selecting, you can see. So it starts at your departure airport. Don't copy this waypoint stuff, that will break it. So everything from EGLL all the way down, down to OMDB, and the last thing you want to copy is the last value in the OMDB section. So then just copy that, and then go into the weather file that you just created, so this one, edit it with Notepad, and paste that lot in, and then save it, okay? It is important that this route in here, which is in the flight plans folder in 777, this here is exactly the same name as this here without any numbers. For some reason the numbers screws with it, I don't know why. So we've actually killed two birds with one stone. We've got the weather now imported and ready for flight sim via Active Sky, and we've also got the weather ready to import into the 777. Okay, it's great. It's, you know, we've done flight planning in the past before, and it takes an awful lot longer than this. So next up really is just to find out what sort of power setting we'll be using for Heathrow. So this little neat tool, everyone was asking me, how do you find your power settings for the 777? I didn't have an answer until about 3 days ago, and then I remembered when I used to fly an FS9 a long time ago, we're talking maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was a program on AvSim called Utopia, which is absolutely fantastic, and it used to calculate the power settings for the 777 PSS. Now, I'm not saying that this is a complete, completely accurate depiction of what you need, but it's the best I can come up with. If you find something different, then by all means let me know in the comments or chuck me a mail or whatever else you want to do. I have edited the PSS file in here to use the way Emirates work. Emirates don't have any engine derates. They use derate on full the engine full scenario, which is what it's called in Utopia. It's actually in the thrust management page in the FMC. It's just called TO instead of TO1, TO2. I'm not sure what the correct term is for it, but still, they don't use TO1 or TO2. It's always TO. So I've edited this file to reflect that, and I'll stick that in the comment section. I keep saying comments in the the description of the video below. I'll stick it in there so you can download it. So as long as that file is inside this folder, then when you run Utopia, you will get this. Now in the top drop down, just select PSS 777-200, and then we're departing from Heathrow. PFPX says that it's off runway 09 right, which is fine. The temperature, well, we can go into active sky and we can get a weather report from Heathrow. So just untick that and then EGLL, and we can find that the weather is 060 at 4 knots, which is 060 at 4. We can see that the temperature is 16 and the QNH is 1016. So temperature 16, and that's Celsius, QNH 1016. Then, if you were using FS9, you could actually grab the data from FS, but we're not, so we have to manually put it in. We're looking for the takeoff weight, which is right at the top here. So takeoff weight for us is planned 228,664 kilograms. So 228664. Press Get Takeoff Performance Data. Then you will see QNH 1016, it gives you all of the data that you have put into the application itself, and it gives you on the right hand side here two really important values. Using flap 5, so that's what we're using, derate, so engine full, which is just TO, and 60 degrees, okay? So that is what we need to use within Flight Sim. So if you just want to grab a notepad or something, I don't really mind how you do it, and just type, my notepad went on the other page, whoops, flap 5, full 60 degrees, I guess. So when we're entering that into the FMC a little later, I'll show you where that goes. So that is really it as far as planning goes. PFPX has done it all for us. You can go and cross-check what as PFPX has given you, and when you're happy with it, then you can move across to Flight Sim and you can enter all of that information into the flight deck. It's taken a lot of time off our hands, and the real crews will have that done for them as well. So it's not as if we're cheating the system here. They have uplinks left, right, and center of different information that they can access. So join me on the flight deck when we'll be on the ground at Heathrow, and we'll set up and we'll get everything underway in part 2. Thanks for watching, and I hope you aren't too stuck or lost. If you do have any questions about the planning side of things with part 1, then by all means ask below the video. Yeah, see you in part 2, guys.